Hello. Before we start, I would like to say that this discussion is being conducted and following and respecting all the latest health and safety regulations with regards to COVID-19 situation. So I will be taking off my mask. So hello, welcome. My name is Stefan Chapman. I am the Vice President at Euro Petroleum Consultants. We are an independent consultancy involved in the downstream industry in refining, petrochemicals and gas. We have been active the last 25 years in project management and project implementation. During that time, we have also been organizing industry-recognized conferences on a variety of topics and all around the globe. We are very proud that in next May, we will be organizing the first Energy and Sustainability Forum, ESF 2021, which will be conducted in a virtual format. This event will be focusing on a very important topic, and that is decarbonizing the downstream industry. Today, I'm very honored to be joined by one of the forum's keynote speakers, Mr. Jean Sentenac, who is President and CEO of AXENS. Although I'm sure many of you are very familiar with the company, AXENS is a leading worldwide group providing a complete range of solutions for the conversion of oil and biomass to cleaner fuels, also the production and purification of major petrochemical intermediates, as well as all of natural gases, treatments, and conversions. That is to say, technologies, catalysts, equipment, furnaces, molecular units, adsorbents, right through to the related technical services. Jean has been in the role of President and CEO since 2002 and is an established and well-respected leader in the oil, petchem, and gas processing industries. So we're delighted to be able to catch up with him today ahead of the conference to discuss on some of the key topics facing our industry in its journey to a more sustainable future. So Jean, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us here today at AXENS HQ in Rueil-Malmaison. If I may, I'd simply like to ask and start off our discussion, our talk today, by asking how you are and how AXENS has and is adapting to this extraordinary reality that we are currently living in.
Good afternoon, Stefan. Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I'm glad that we have all been tested negative and that we can do this discussion live and without mask. I'm doing well, thank you. I think like everybody, I miss travel and social interaction, but we have all to adapt to this life. I mean, we have also to think to people who have lost one parent or suffered and been lucky. We have been lucky to go through, I think. AXENS, I'm particularly proud of being able during the last year, during this pandemic, to continue its operation, continue project execution, operate the catalyst plant, serve our customers, either live or when travel was not possible remotely, including for commissioning, we did our work remotely. So this make me feel very well. We owe this to the dedication of our people, but also to the trust of our customers. It's really very important to stay together when it's difficult. One thing that maybe also make me optimism to see how fast the pharmaceutical industry have been able to develop and produce vaccines, which help us to see maybe the end of the tunnel. So that's really remarkable, I think, and we are fortunate in many of our countries to have access to that, and this will help the economy to recovery. We have also to think to the one countries that don't have enough access and take care of them. But I feel positive, and I think we should look to that positive future.
Yes, thank you. I totally agree. I think the reactivity, the solidarity between not only in our industry, but worldwide and globally has been great to see. For our industry, I totally agree as well on how impressive it has been that companies like AXENS has been able to react very quickly to adapt their way of working, also to support their clients, even though at a distance, being able to help them with their operations. I think that's great to see, and it shows an optimism for the future. I agree. So, 2020 let's be honest, beginning of 2021 has certainly been unique, and it's still a challenge with the global pandemic, with the repercussions far-reaching, and our downstream industry has faced a lot of challenges. And I'd like to start by asking you how you see refiners and petchem producers. What have they been doing to maintain competitiveness in the current market conditions, which have not been easy for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think particularly for refiners, the last year has been very difficult. It's been very challenging. They have seen a sudden decrease in demand, and they are really longing for signs of recovery. So they had to maintain their operation on a safe, reliable, environmentally sound manner, but also to adapt their throughput, reduce costs. So it's been fairly challenging for all of them. And we as AXENS, we ask ourselves, how can we as a technology catalyst and equipment provider can we help them go through while also bringing ideas to have a little bit of light at the end. So that's what we basically are doing, supporting a customer. I think our tech service engineers are helping them operating the unit, reaching flexibility, which is very important, optimizing catalyst cycles, minimizing energy consumption. And we do that mostly, and digital has been very important, using digital tools to support that. So I think all this work, which helped the industry to go through, is really very important, and I'm proud that our engineers have been able to carry it.
If I may, could you elaborate a little bit more on those aspects that you mentioned? You mentioned, I think, flexibility, digitalization, and also catalyst management.
Yeah, flexibility is in any industrial operation it's key, but particularly now, when if you had to reduce throughput, it's really important to be able to be flexible. Also in the future, maybe we may see a very big hike so that would be flexibility on the other way. So flexibility, operating a process unit at reduced throughput, maybe 70%, is really different than 100%. You don't tune it exactly the same. You don't use the catalyst with the same severity. You have to retune your energy integration, So that's where really in the time of remote travel and difficulties of contacts in many countries, digital help us a lot. And in AXENS, we have developed since many years, but this really the last 12 months boosted the usage of this tool, a tool called ConnectIn, which basically take live a certain number of data of the process unit we are licensed or in which we have catalyst reconciliate them automatically, means getting rid of false measure eventually, doing mass balance, all this with the maximum cyber security systems, because we know it's real subject right now, so cyber security. And then once it's done, we compare them to the optimum models, and we issue KPIs and dashboard that we can share with the customer weekly basis. And look, this is where we can improve. This is where you can do differently. In this you are okay. So that's really add on collective intelligence by working together, and much more than a quarterly visit or report, if you wish. So that's really, to that extent, the pandemic help a lot boost this solution, which I think will continue in the future. We're now developing also modules to better integrate in save energy compared to the optimum, including the furnaces. So there are many, let's say, value added that these tools can bring. Also, we have made a lot of effort, and through a catalyst management, what we call the orchestra program, where we help our customers to use at the maximum of their capabilities the catalyst, then eventually cascade them, then recycle them, minimize turnaround costs, dispose of them environmentally friendly when it is necessary. So all these programs help refiners to save costs and survive during and go through in order to better prepare the future. So I think it's really important, and it's when it's difficult also that you see partners.
Yes, for sure. I think digitalization we've seen. I've been in the industry for about 20 years, and it's day and night the difference that we've seen in 20 years, and it's keeps on accelerating, and it's making our jobs and the producers and the operators their jobs a lot more easier with the use of data. We're getting more high quality data. We can use the data. We can make sure that communication of this data is at all levels of a company. And I think it's very important for the future, like you say. If we mentioned, we were talking about competitiveness, but there are maybe other areas that we could focus on to try and increase margins, which at the end of the day, all producers are looking for, is that increasing that margin, even if it's only by a small increment, it's very important for them.
I think, first of all, we have to talk about biofuels and processing lipids, vegetable oils, either through co-processing or to 100% dedicated units. In AXENS, we have worked a lot in those fields, and we have developed a lot of know-how in co-processing, first of lipids in an existing DHT unit, and we offer a revamped solution, and in particular also taking care of the corrosion issues that this co-processing may bring. And we have also another process we call vegan, which is a technology with whom we have a lot of success, allowing to process 100% lipids to diesel or biodiesel or biojet. So it's really a hot topic in the industry right now. We can also mention petrochemical, I think, because as long as maybe the fuel demand is lagging may decrease, I think the refineries have to move towards petrochemical. And if you take the basis of 0% petrochemical output, you can, I think, using a quite simple solution, increase up to 20% your output of in petrochemical feedstock. You can change your reforming product slates. You can add units. As in AXENS, we have, for example, a unit which is called polyfuel, a process which is allowing to produce more distillate, more propylene also. Many solutions in our portfolio exist to reach that 20%. And I think this is also a trend where people will invest more and more in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree that there's obviously a lot of different routes, a lot of different options for producers out there, from licensors, catalyst producers as well, which will help them to evolve towards where we want to get to within our industry. So at the event at ESF 2021, we'll be focusing, as I mentioned, on energy transition, something that we're hearing a lot about in the media and within the industry. So this is a journey that our industry is currently embarking on. And if we take into consideration the events of 2020 and the ongoing pandemic, do you feel that the COVID-19 situation has actually accelerated our industry's pivot to sustainability? And if so, why?
Well, indeed, I think, yes, I think so. I think Of course, short term, you have to survive. You have to adapt to reduce costs. But we see also that this pandemic is, in a way, changing our lives, changing the way we're living, the way we work, with remote working, and now has become not the norm, but has been extensively applied in many countries, including to 100% remote working. It's not what we're doing at AXENS, but increasing remote working will remain. I think some of the habits we have taken will remain. I think also that this, I don't know if it's linked to the pandemic. Anyhow, you see states on plural stimulus in various regions of the world are going all towards sustainability with massive amounts. So this also will push changes. And then I think the last reason maybe why it's also lying inside of us. I mean, if we perceive life as more fragile, maybe we will concentrate more on what is important, like human interaction, maybe live leaner. So this also will drive change. On the other hand, I think it will be a mistake, like some people you see saying, going to negative growth to seek sustainability. I think in particular in our field, energy is affordable, sustainable, and cheap energy is a need for the humanity. Going to negative growth, I think maybe some very wealthy people can afford that, but you have many people, including in our countries or in other countries of the world, that are looking for better lives. So I think we due to invent solutions for a better world, but providing the necessary energy. That's what we are doing in AXENS. We're trying to do. We develop processes, catalysts, products, equipments for the production of energy, fuels, chemicals, gas, on a sustainable, more and more sustainable way, tackling all the issues that we have to tackle. And I think this is very important. We need to be convinced on that and putting more and more efforts toward that direction.
It's very, very true. I think energy will remain and is a vital cog in the way we live, how society lives. It's something critical for our society. I think our industry as well has to maybe look to communicate better what we're trying to do, what we're looking to do for society and the world in general. If we look at our industry, many consider our industry to be a mature industry. We have, around the globe, we have assets that differ in complexity, differ in age, in configuration. How do you think that our industry will be able to build its options for the future that we're talking about with the assets it already has in place? For example, the key enabling technologies, and in particular, the technologies that are being developed or are currently in the AXENS portfolio. How can those help producers evolve to a different type of industry?
Well, first of all, allow me a digression. I don't know if the word is right, but industry is very important. Please, people, don't blame industry. That's industry that has produced the vaccines we are using right now. So, and I think also we have to understand, to know that 80% of the R&D effort is supported by industries, and many of our jobs, including service jobs, are relying on industries. So safeguarding developing industries is very important, including energy industry. So we have to find ways to develop and this industry in a sustainable manner. So I talk already about many ways. We talk about biofuels. We talk about chemicals. We I think should also speak about other features that we need to tackle, like circular economy, plastic recycling, which to me is a very big add-on that we need to address, and maybe also carbon capture or these or conversion eventually later on. But I think these two are going to be in need to help our industry to go through all these evolutions.
Yes, you mentioned circular economy, which is something that we've been hearing a lot about. In the media, but also within our industry. We've seen a number of companies adopt high-yield circular economy strategies. Why do you think this is so important? What is the value proposition and commercialization status of certain plastics conversion technologies? And maybe if you can focus on the examples within AXENS about the new PET, I believe that PET recycling technology that you're currently industrializing with IFPEN and Jeplan.
Yeah, I think circularity on plastic is a must, not only because of plastic bashing and the ocean pollution problem, but I think also if we want our consumption mode to be sustainable, we have to solve this packaging issue. And today, plastics, even though a lot of efforts have been done, is not enough recycled. To take the example you were mentioning on PET, I think today only 20 PET is very widely used for packaging and for fibers also, but I think for packaging only 20 to 25% of the PET is finding its way to recycle mechanically mainly, and this is because mainly because PET is often colored in packaging. And when you have coloration, you cannot recycle it to transparent. I think it's fairly easily to understand. So we have developed together with IFPN a technology called the Rewind PET, which is a process, glycolysis-based depolymerization. Once we have depolymerized the PET, we're cleaning all these impurities, the pigment, and we have a monomer, BHET, that you can repolymerize in the process of PET. So that's a very short loop, which we have developed. And we tied with Jeplan from Japan, because this company is probably the unique in the world having real industrial experience of recycling PET fibers for many, many years and bottles in their industrial plants. So we join our forces with their industrial experience, processes capability, research and development to develop this new process, which we are currently demonstrating in their pilot plant in Japan. So it's currently under construction. It will be the demonstration will be hopefully finished by 2022. And then we will be ready, AXENS would be ready for the commercialization. We hope to make a big step with that on the PET market. And we're already testing samples of lab PET recycle through end users, which are textile or packaging producers and users, because this is one of the big challenges on the industry. So I'm fairly confident that we will help to make this step with this technology.
That certainly sounds like a very promising development, and it's interesting to see how it develops even further. Unless I'm mistaken, there is also another technology you're developing called Rewind Mix. Is that right? Could you tell us a little bit more about that type of technology?
Yeah, Rewind Mix, surely. This one is dealing with olefins, polyolefins, mainly PE and PP. And very often in the current recycling system, let's say, you don't sort all these plastics. You have a mix of them, and to that situation, one of the good solution is to use pyrolysis to convert them without sorting to a pyrolysis oil. But this oil is very variable in quality and contain a certain number of impurities. So before feeding it back to the petrochemical plant, namely the steam cracker, you have to purify it, get rid of the maybe chlorine. You may find other types of metals or silica. So we have developed a technology which is fairly simple, but based on existing bricks we had in catalyst, which we call remoine mix, which will be able to treat any kind of pyrolysis oil before feeding it back to the cracker. So the model we have in mind is to feed one unit with several pyrolysis oil units, which maybe will be closer to the dispatching or sorting, collecting, let's say, center of plastics. So this technology is a few weeks to be put on the market, and we also think that we can retrofit some existing units in the petrochemical complex to implement it. And with the second brick, we hope also to make a contribution to the chain which is organizing in recycling of plastics, which is the hotspot right now, not only in Europe, by the way, but also in the US and many part of the world.
No, that's really good. The fact that it may be able to be retrofitted into existing units is something that we've discussed just a few minutes ago about how to utilize existing assets and how to change them for the future types of plants that we're looking to get to. If I may, I'd like to go back slightly to a point that you mentioned. One of the key points that we're hearing about is reducing carbon emissions and also tying in with carbon capture. I believe within AXENS there are some solutions proposed or under development at AXENS with regards to CO2 capture. Could you tell us a little bit more about those solutions?
Yeah, we're working, like I have to say, like I think many other companies in this field. I think first of all, if you look at the last IEA World Energy Outlook report, carbon capture and sequestrations should account for nearly 20% of the effort of the CO2 to be removed effort to reach the 2DC scenario. So it's really significant. Many people are working on that. Already there are technologies available. Like for example, we have a technology that we call Advamine, which is coming from Total. We market for many years, several decades, which is a technology that can separate CO2 from gas stream, which it was used to treat gases basically at the beginning. And with that, if you apply that to SMR, we think we can take around 50% of the CO2 emitted through the generation of hydrogen by SMR with that technology. But we want also to go further because you have big challenges in this field of CO2 emissions, not only for refining, but power plants, cementeries, steel plants. They have really a big challenge to decrease our emission in the coming decades. And one of the hurdles of these challenges is the cost of capture, because if the cost is capture is too high, it will never happen. So we, based on a new amine invented by AFPEN, which is a self-demixing amine, I mean, meaning you don't need the same quantity of energy to separate the CO2 captured by the amine to regenerate it. We estimate we can save around 35% of the cost in CO2 capture. This technology has been developed. It's called DMX, and it's been founded through a consortium by European Union. And there is currently a demonstration unit built on a steel mill, in that case, in ArcelorMittal in Dunkirk in the north, which will be put in operation next year. This consortium is a very large number of companies. Apart from ArcelorMittal, ourselves, IFPN, there is also Total, many other companies. Because this project goes beyond CO2 capture, but it's also to demonstrate the full chain up to storage in geological storage in the North Sea. So we hope to be successful. We have put a lot of effort in that, and I think once this technology is demonstrated, we hope to be successful in establishing a full chain to protect this industry and help them through the decrease in emission. And the target just for Dunkirk is to store to the cluster of Dunkirk 10 million tons of CO2 a year. in the next phase in this project, which is called 3D project. So it's fairly significant.
Thank you. To finalize, and to the last question of our discussion is something that we like to ask, a lot of people like to ask, if we could peer into a crystal ball in a time characterized by uncertainty and change, what do you think, if we look forward to 2030, what do you think the producer, whether it be refiner or petchem producer, what will it look like, the plant? What are the big ticket items that we feel, that you feel that the industry will invest in the coming decade? Or is it, with the current context, is it difficult to actually pinpoint where that investment will be made?
It's certainly difficult, your question, but I can give my view, of course. I think, first of all, I think refiner has a unique advantage or experience, which is to process feedstock with a lot of complex molecules in it. So I think that's building on its capabilities, this capability that we should think as a refinery going, evolving in the form of a cluster, more and more integrated with bio, with recycling, with chemicals, with CO2 capture. So I see the refinery of the future, let's say, or 2030, maybe is 2030 plus, let's say, as a cluster having integration with chemicals, including recycling capabilities, so mean chemicals and polymers, with CO2 capture, with blue and then green hydrogen, and with, I should have started with that, energy, a lot of effort on energy efficiency to be the maximum of integration they can bring. So the energy efficiency, biofuels, circularity, blue and green hydrogen, I think are the features that are going, at least in my view, to drive the evolution of some of the features are going to drive the evolution of refineries. And this will require a lot of efforts, a lot of investment. So I think that's why I insisted a lot at the beginning of our talk about efficiency, cost driving, because to convert, you have to survive, and you have to operate, to save your cash, to stay cash positive. And that's where operating at your optimum process capability, I think, is very important, using digital, saving your catalyst, managing your pool the best you can. So I think that's very important for the short term, because this transformation will require effort. I think it's an industry effort. I mean, it's like we are doing ourselves. I don't think one single company would be fast enough in developing all these solutions. And we need to join forces. That's what we're doing. That's what others are doing. We need to join forces. And if we do that, we will be able to reach that goal. And we will be offering, as I said, in the coming weeks, months, years, new technologies. Then after each solution would be site specific, and certainly we can help operators in studying what is the best for their site in that journey. But I want also to conclude with a word of trust and hope. I think our industry has a lot of capabilities, which is to convert feedstock, complex feedstock. No other industry has such large scale capabilities, and I think that's a decisive advantage.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking at some interesting times ahead, challenges, but I'm fully confident, as you say, our industry is resilient. It's shown in the past that it's quick to adapt through innovation. I think we have the know-how, we have the skills in the industry, and like you say, I think we'll see more companies coming together to try and solve these problems and find solutions for going on the next 10, 20, 30 years. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how, it's an interesting journey, I'd like to say. So that brings us to the end. It concludes our talk. So I'd just like to thank you for your time today, Jean. For me, it was a real pleasure and great insight to be able to discuss with you on some of the key topics facing our industry with regards to energy and energy transition. Very important topics for our industry. I really look forward to further developing the discussion at ESF 2021 at the end of May. And before long, I hope we'll be able to do in-person meetings again, conferences, because I think that helps our industry as well, share knowledge and exchange on our experiences. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Stefan. It's been a pleasure interacting with you. I'm looking forward to be in ESF 2021. I hope the next one would be live. We can have drinks together and dinner. And I appreciate for your discussion, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.